Regardless of conditions, when the best of the best in off-road racing hook up, you can expect great racing. Grand National Cross Country action is next.
Are you ready to go GNCC Racing?
The AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Series, presented by Specialized, rolls on the Dunlop Tomahawk GNCC here in upstate New York. Jason Wygant giving it the call. What's a GNCC without some slick conditions on and off the track? We'll get the place fixed up and give you the AMSOIL race recap of our previous event. Jordan Ashburn, the very quick starting Babbitt's Monster Energy Kawasaki's, have been up front of the starts all year long, but defending series champion Caleb Russell would take the lead on his FMF KTM. Ashburn right behind him, but the radar quickly goes out for Thad Duvall, who won this race a year ago, not with the lead group early, but Duvall is very comfortable in this type of terrain. Would catch up to Russell from second, and that led to another classic Duvall versus Russell struggle. These two have been battling since their days on mini cycles and all the way through to the top ranks. There's Duvall in the lead, with Russell now trying to close in on him, and Trevor Bollinger, Duvall's teammate, eventually getting in contention as well. But when it was over, Duvall was able to take the victory. Second of the season, and he has not been off the podium in any other race this year, so he is definitely keeping points leader Russell honest. Duvall's a tough hombre. He will not give up in pursuit of the #1 plate, but after the race, do whatever it takes to cool off after a hot and humid 3-hour event through the trees. Here's Duvall on his win, the Weisco John Penton GNCC.
Man, like halfway through the race, it started getting really dark, and I'm like, oh man, please don't rain, please don't rain. It was actually a little gnarlier than what I think I anticipated it to be. I thought it would be a little bit better as like dirt conditions wise, but man, it got super ruddy and just made for a long day. And you know, me and Caleb were just kind of doing our own thing, and then halfway through, Trevor caught us out in the middle of nowhere, and he actually got in the lead and was ripping, and you know, we got the 2-lap board, and it was just I can't believe I've won this race 2 years in a row, and yeah, to do it in front of all my fans, it's crazy. You know, it's the whole time people were screaming. It's like it's crazy out there. I love it. I love the races. I love this race, and yeah, to beat Caleb at his home farm, it's pretty cool.
And there is Bollinger joining Russell and Duvall on the podium. Stu Beller, another solid ride on the Thiele Energy KTM 4th. Strang on the Monster Babbitt's Kawasaki 5th. Let's go racing today in New York. Will be a little bit muddy, yes, but we'll do 3 hours of racing anyway. There's your starting lineup. Let's go racing. Russell leading them into the first turn. You got the Yamaha man, Ricky Russell, though, right with him. They almost come together. But it's Caleb Russell who will lock down the All Balls Racing Whole Shot Award. Another good start for Ashburn. He's right there in third, but look at Russell already trying to get away. And in response, look at this all the way on the left side. Thad Duvall is doing everything he can to keep Caleb Russell inside, and he pulls it off, daring through the mud. But he makes a couple of key early passes. It's a lot easier to make it out here than it is in the tight trees. Bollinger spinning it sideways there in the center of the screen. This is going to be treacherous, and now Duvall all the way to the #1 spot. And Ashburn has gotten around Russell. Great to see Kawasaki Team Green back in Grand National Cross Country this year with a factory effort. And good to see them running up front beyond just being here. Oh, Josh Toth lost the roll-off, so the goggles there. Going to be a long day for him. 250 class underway. Young riders looking to establish themselves, but the establishment is Ben Kelly, who has a perfect season going so far. Alex Teagarden going to grab the Hot Chems Whole Shot Award. Kelly, a big dive down to the inside to try to take it away. But it looks like Teagarden able to lock it down, and we're into the mud. And it's fun to watch these riders scramble. can't practice at a GNCC track, so they know where the mud is, but until they ride it, they don't know exactly how it's going to go. FMF XC3 division for 2 strokes. Only a handful of them on board today. Jesse Ainsley, your champion of the number 1, going to grab the Wiseco Whole Shot Award. Ainsley at the 990 of Cody Barnes been battling hard for the title this year. But watch out for Nick Davis in the number 20. He is second and putting some pressure on Ainsley as we head to the mud. Davis's first race of the year with Pennsylvania is certainly capable now that he's back and healthy. There's Barnes in third, coming through on the beta. And you hear the little 125s having to scream for their lives to get enough power to get through that mud. No problem here on these big bikes in XC1. Got a pair of 350s with Duval and Russell, and the 450 Kawasaki's there as well. Caleb Russell does not always nail the start in GNCC racing, and even when he does, they're bringing the challenge to him. Thad Duval wrestling the lead away from the champion and still out front.
GNCC on the NBC Sports Network is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
A new championship in Grand National Cross Country, the Specialized Turbo E-Assist mountain bike race. Seth Stevens on the number 7, grabbing the whole shot over Charlie Mullins and Nate Annan. They're battling for second. These look like traditional mountain bikes. They do have some pedal assist. They do not have throttles. They would be considered, I believe, Class 1 in mountain bike riding. There's Leon Hansen coming through on the number 8. 5 different classes here. We've got pros, amateurs, women's class, a 50-plus division, and a youth class. Mullins has been unstoppable this year. He's won all the overalls. Charlie is a former GNCC champion on dirt bikes. Clearly a fitness fanatic, although Seth here on the 7 gave him a pretty good run. They did 13 laps on an abbreviated GNCC course. Stevens would come in about 27 seconds behind Mullins in the 1-hour race. And I can tell you, even with the E-Assist, these riders were gassed when it was all over. Mullins says it's just as hard physically, and the heart rates are just as high as it would be in a non-assist bicycle race. He's just able to go faster with a little bit of electric assistance. If you have a pedal assist mountain bike, might want to come out and try one of these. See Stevens and Annan round out the podium. Jeff McCarron and Leon Hansen top 5. Now back to the gasoline-powered dirt bikes. Thad Duval in the lead over Caleb Russell. These two have hooked it up. Can anyone stay with them? A good bet would be Trevor Bollinger, who's doing it in 3rd. Jordan Ashburn on the Kawasaki is 4th. Looks like Strang, his teammate, coming through in 5th. The Yamaha Racing Skycam takes us through the fields. Beautiful facility here. GNCC tracks, you need to have woods, of course, for the racing, but you have to have some open field sections which serve as pit areas for the amateurs. And honestly, for the riders, a good chance to rest. Although with some of the big bumps starting to form out here, probably not as smooth as they would like it to be. You get the feeling Russell and Duval are just waiting each other out. They'll usually stick with each other the entire way. Duval might try to put the hammer down and break away. It rarely works in off-road racing. A lot of times riders like to stay behind each other, key off each other, follow the lines. So I don't see a huge sense of urgency between the lead two. As for Ashburn, this is great. This Kawasaki team getting better week in and week out. And Ashburn is definitely learning by watching them. Bollinger now back to 3rd. Battling it out with Ashburn a bit. Ricky Russell on the Ampro Yamaha now moving up. So Ashburn having his problems. And despite the lack of roll-offs, Toth, that's Russell's young teammate, rookie in the class, he's still hanging around near the top 5. Although, boy, he must not be able to see. All that roll-off film came out of the goggles. There's Bollinger riding very well this year, moving to the Rockstar Husqvarna effort alongside Duval. And Russell has had 2 Huskies to take on all season long, as Bollinger, on the right weekend, can run that pace all the way to the end. These are tough conditions here. It's rutted, and this dirt is really tacked up. It's sticky. Try to grab the front wheel at times, and then other times you cannot get traction with the front end. And that's what really separates these riders. A lot of people can go fast on a motorcycle, even in woods, but you'll talk to people who try this here or there, motocrossers that come over. It's reading the terrain and finding the lines. That's really the elite of the elite, and that's what Russell and Duval are so good at doing. Processing all that information on the fly. And there's some information to process. It gets a little tight in these trees. Russell with a new line to the left. Bollinger takes it, but look, Duval's made a mistake. He's gone back to third. Feet off the pegs, wide open. He doesn't care. Can't make it pretty right now. He's got to go. Doesn't want Russell, or perhaps Russell and Bollinger to get away. It hasn't happened. Duval quickly back up to second, pushing his teammate to third. And a rider down there, one of the amateur riders, hopefully everyone's okay. And lap traffic will be a pretty big factor in this one later on, especially when you're fighting these conditions. Not the muddiest race we've seen, but certainly not the easiest. Doesn't matter, the teammates are going at it for second. Stay with us on NBCSN. Well, if you want to be a star in Grand National Cross Country racing, you're going to have to deal with treacherous weather conditions. Every time we think that this track, the Dunlop Tomahawk Grand National Cross Country event, is drying out, we get a little mist, a little rain. Certainly difficult on the riders as far as vision is concerned, but look what a technical challenge it is to handle these ups and downs when the track is sticky in spots and slippery in others, and yet Caleb Russell and Thad Duval are going very, very fast. Trevor Bollinger all season long, it's been the challenge. How long can he stay with these two who have dominated this championship the last couple of years? Duval back up to the #1 spot. So he had the lead, lost it, went all the way back to third. That's the kind of speed Bad Thad has. And I've got to say, in the mud, he has always been strong. Russell has had to learn that. He's advanced his skills in the mud quite a bit, but Duval has always taken to it quite naturally. Looks like Russell, though, is back to the #1 spot. So what's that? 3 lead changes between the rivals. Duval still lurking. What's pretty impressive is that off the track, for the most part, these two have kept it pretty respectful. There's been some heat here and there, but not the amount you would expect when two riders are at each other's throat 13 times a year battling for race wins and championships. The last few seasons, it has basically come down to the two of them each week. You do get Stu Baylor in the mix every once in a while, Josh Strang. Bollinger has made huge strides, but they're a little mistake again, and it's allowing those two to break away. And you hear some more rain coming down. Man, so it is just going to be a rugged one. These guys are soaked. There's nothing comfortable or good about it, but I would bet with the adrenaline flowing, they don't even really think about those things. They're just going as fast as they can, and you can see Duval is pinned right now. FMF KTM people pointing out a line to Russell. That's actually the wide line compared to where they were going earlier. And I have to say, oddly, the rain is probably bad for the vision, but I think it might have helped the track. There are situations where the riders would say they would prefer it to keep raining because at least the track is predictable. When it stops raining, that's when the mud gets very sticky. And then it's trying to grab wheels in every direction. The ruts become really treacherous. And also, all that mud will stick to your body and your bike and make it much heavier. So I would think to a degree, the rain is a good thing. However, we have a lot of racing yet to go, still an hour left. How much water can this track take before it goes the other direction and it starts going away? Here's Bollinger, just a few mistakes here and there, and you see he's got the shop towel on his hands. You make a mistake, you put your hands down in the mud, the grips get muddy, so the team will give you something to wipe them off with on the go. Hey, that is Ben Kelly from the second row, XC2. Now, on adjusted time, Kelly was actually leading this thing on lap 1, because he has a 1-minute time adjustment. With riding like this, Duval and Russell have pushed the pace back up. They are leading this overall, but there's a chance that Ben Kelly, starting on row 2, could finish third overall today and also third physically on the track. He's passed everybody except Russell Duval. And for the moment, at least, he hasn't gotten Bollinger, but he is on a rail. Okay, so maybe the conditions are better to ride in as far as traction is concerned as Russell comes into the pits, but you can see it is grueling on the body. You got the fire extinguishers out to clean the radiators off of Russell's bike, trying to prevent overheating in some grueling conditions. After these pit stops, it's going to be all-out sprints to the finish. Can Russell hold off Duval? Here's your Rocky Mountain ATV MC Top 5.
GNCC on the NBC Sports Network is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
Well, here's a man that's ready. Thad Duval has once again wrestled the lead from Caleb Russell. Watch the skills, wide open through a muddy rut. And if you get it wrong, you're going into one of those trees. It is a pleasure to watch these two elevate the AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country game. Duval back in the lead with Russell right on his heels. Believe this will be the white flag coming out here. This would be huge if Duval could hang on and make it 2 in a row. He got the better of Russell at the last event in Ohio. Today in New York, it's anyone's game. They've both held the lead multiple times, and now Russell is taking it back. It's waiting the outside peg. This is not usually that steep of an off-camber, but it's going to feel that way with these slick conditions. Here comes Russell on the charge. Throwing it all out there, despite obviously less than ideal traction. And Duval trying to chase him down. Two athletes at the absolute top of their game. But today it looks like Russell might have the edge. He's into the field section for the final time. Probably about a half dozen passes for the lead between these two alone. Bollinger was in the hunt for a while. Ben Kelly from row 2 gave it a run. Now, Stu Baylor, who was nowhere to be seen early in this race, had to actually stop in the pits for some repairs, has made it up to 3rd in the class and 4th overall. But Russell, now without goggles here with the finish line in sight, he doesn't need them, is going to take a clutch victory. Didn't want Duval to start a win streak. He won't. Caleb Russell back on top in another classic showdown in Grand National Cross Country. Ain't pretty till you're dirty in this game. Caleb Russell gets cleaned up, and let's talk to him.
I was a little optimistic coming into the race this weekend. Just the way my bike was feeling and the way I rode at the last race, it has a hard base underneath like this place. And yeah, I was just a little uneasy and not really sure where I was going to be. And I made a couple little changes and got out there, got going, and man, my bike was awesome. I really enjoyed it. It was working awesome. It was working perfect out there, really. And the rain came down, and I was loving it. It was the best thing it could have done. I mean, it made the track better, really. And then those last few laps, it started tacking up again, and man, it was kind of just paddle around after that. You know, I lost the flow a little bit, Thad and I both, just because there's trying to get around lappers, and then the stuff got so thick it just pulled you left and right, and it was hard to keep that momentum driving forward. But we had a good time, and just got to give it up to everybody sticking around out here. It's a muddy mess, and tough on everybody and everybody's equipment. But the FMF KTM team did a great job. My mechanic Cody and everybody underneath the tent. Just thank you.
Rocky Mountain ATV MC results. Baylor outduels Bollinger for the final podium spot. Ricky Russell 5th in the Yamaha. Let's talk to Duval.
You know, some days I'm not very happy with 2nd, but I gave it my best today. I felt like I really laid it out on the line, and yeah, it just came up short. Sometimes you do, and yeah, it was fun. It was we passed each other I don't know how many times, but yeah, it was fun riding, and it was just like he was saying, when the rain kind of come down, it was just hard to stay in a groove, and main thing was to keep your goggles on today, and I had to stop a couple times for goggles, and then yeah, just I gave it my best, just come up a little short, and yeah, I really enjoyed riding my bike today. I had a smile on my face, I think, all day, and really the worst part was just your hands. You couldn't hardly hold on. They got real wet and muddy and just tough holding on. And you know, when you get a handful of throttle going up a hill, you better be holding on. So yeah, hats off to the whole team. Man, there was guys everywhere. I really appreciate that, and all the fans today. I seems like I had a lot of people cheering me on, so it was cool. And yeah, just one of those days.
And welcome relief. Stu Baylor, he'll drink Red Bulls before and after, maybe even during GNCC, and he needed some energy today.
Starting out with, I think, I gave everybody 10 seconds to the first turn because I was feeling good today. I wanted to pass everybody, you know, and then spent 3 minutes in the pits. That didn't help. Yeah, it was rough. This place has never treated me well, so to come away with the podium, I'm happy with it. Just, you know, passing through the XC1 class and then having to pass through I think even some A riders there on the second lap after that prolonged pit. So, you know, it was really tough. Just crushed the throttle tube, and you know, nothing I could do about it. Just bummer, but it is what it is. Good day, solid points, and looking forward to the next one.
Big Stu, always a great interview. Here's the AMSOIL race recap. In muddy conditions, you want to get a good start. You see how clean everybody is for now. Caleb Russell on the #1 would grab the whole shot award and then start roosting everyone. And you can see desperation from Thad Duvall to make up ground. Here we are, the very first mud bog. He's all the way on the side on our left, making moves on Jordan Ashburn, and then he would get around Russell to take the lead. And that would be a theme. Russell would get it back, Duvall would pass him. Russell would get it back, Duvall would pass him. It was very fun to watch these two leave it all out there on the racetrack. For the most part, Trevor Bollinger was in hot pursuit. Little mistakes here and there would allow them to pull away from him. And then late in the race, he'd have to fend off Baylor. As rain came down, Russell feels the track actually got better. That actually does make sense at times until it was finally fully submerged. And then it got worse. And then it was full-on survival mode. Russell survived it best to take the victory. 4 wins in 7 rounds. He has an 18-point advantage over Thad Duvall. Ben Kelly wins XC2. Nick Davis wins XC3. The team manager, Andy Callanan, on the left, completely covered. He's trying to help his riders get to the finish. You win in GNCC racing. You have certainly earned it. There's Ben Kelly. There's Baylor, Duvall, and Russell on the podium. For everyone at Racer TV, I'm Jason Wygant. Thanks for watching the Dunlop Tomahawk GNCC.